this is Kermit the Frog.
Fascinating.
I'm Captain Kirk.
Magic is always there, as long as we keep looking for it.
Engage.
What does God need with a starship?
Thank you, love you. Mwah.
I protest. I am not a merry man.
Places, please, and here we go.
Down at Fraggle Rock.
Welcome, Doozers, Gorgs, Husnocks, and things to episode 154 of the MuppeTrek Podcast. I'm Jarman.
And I'm Steve. We are on a journey across the stars to compare and contrast the creative worlds of Jim Henson and Gene Roddenberry.
And what started as reviews of The Muppet Show and Star Trek the original series has expanded into outer space.
And this week we have Fraggle Rock episode Mokey and the Minstrels and Star Trek The Next Generation episode The Survivors.
But before we do that, Steve, I want to rock.
There are all kinds of gems, jewels, and geodes in this world, many of which can be found in Fraggle Rock. And this week's is Chabazite. Chabazite.
You made that up.
It's a member of the zeolite group, which are known. It's known for its like cage-like crystal structures that kind of look like dice in some cases. Like they've got some very sharp edges and and sort of cagey, and are sometimes compared to coffins in how they form. Chabazite is formed from the giant gas bubbles left in volcanic rock. So in the caverns formed by big underground gas bubbles that form from volcanoes, these things form up. They play a role in trapping and releasing water in like the Earth's systems. And the existence of Chabazite on Mars is one of the main reasons that they believe that there was once water there.
Oh.
Is because this forms as part of the absorption and removal of water.
They are really cool and funky looking.
Yeah, look like dice.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Chabazite, and that rocks.
I want to rock!
The D&D gem.
Yeah. What's happening this week in Fraggle Rock? Well, Doc got a saxophone, and he wants to know what it looks like on the inside, so he takes it all apart, puts it all back together. He finally tries to play, and it turns out he is terrible. He puts on a record instead, and Sprocket and him sit and enjoy. Back in the Rock, Mokey sings a lovely song, which Cantus and the Minstrels from previous episodes overhear as they come into town. He invites Mokey to join them, but only if she hears the ping. I have that in air quotes. I know you can't see that in podcast land. He sings a song called Music Makes Us Real with the other minstrels. Mokey is just entranced by the whole thing, and she is convinced that she heard the ping and has been called to be a minstrel. The others really are in doubt, but that just makes Mokey try harder. She gets more hard-headed about it. She packs her things and heads off with the minstrels, but not before Gobo gives her an Uncle Traveling Matt's postcard that we literally don't see.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone says a sad goodbye, and Mokey takes off. She is sort of coming to terms with her confusing existence as a minstrel, as Cantus asks her riddle-like questions that make her question her existence. And then Cantus tells her to listen to the water dripping, because music's everywhere, and they perform the Water Drip Song, is the name of it. Mokey is awakened that night by Cantus, and it's her first minstrel test. He leads her to a cavern, and she has to listen and learn the song of the cave. She listens, touching the rock formations that play notes as she does. Cantus congratulates her on starting her minstrel journey, but she gives up. But she would have to give up her old life to do it, and she can't do that. He says that one day she might be a minstrel, but today she needs her friends, and she heads back to Fraggle Rock to say hi to everyone. So that's this week's episode of Fraggle Rock. Jarman, what'd you think?
I think it was really cool seeing the Minstrels again. They apparently even come back in the reboot, apparently, because they're, a popular, strange little addition to the lore. They're always really ethereal and mysterious, but they're always a little goofy at the same time. It's like, do they really do all the cool stuff they say? I don't know, maybe. I still love how there's like unexplained races amongst these minstrels that we've never talked about what they are.
like the furry mop guy, and the weird, kind of looks like an anteater almost. That one guy,
he does. It's like, that shows how big the rock is. There's not just Fraggle Rock. It's like there's other communities out there or something, maybe with these other creatures. I really like the cute moments where everyone's really just nice to each other and really sad that Mokey's leaving. We have a moment in this show where, once again, some friends being unsupportive of their other friend and then a jerk away like they often are in these episodes. So that was refreshing. And then some good hippie songs from Mokey and the Minstrels throughout. I love the Doozers totally hating on Mokey singing, but then loving the Minstrels like industrial jazz music he played.
Though it was strange that the Doozers went back to being like monotone altogether.
That's true.
Doozers. Whereas they at this point have established that they're their own personalities.
Yeah.
But remember at the beginning with Doozers, they all said the same thing at the same time.
I forgot all about that. I thought that was just a fluke this time, but you're right. They did that in the beginning and they haven't done that since. So that is weird.
Yeah. So weird, inconsistent.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like Doc and Sprocket's scenes. The saxophone were fun, and they're like nice little parallel to Mokey and the instruments going on, with the Minstrels. But yeah, there's no trash heaps or gorgs. They didn't do an Uncle Matt's traveling Matt's past postcard. It was just kind of a meh episode. I don't know. What'd you think?
The meh is an understatement. I think this is easily worst Fraggle Rock episode so far.
Wow.
Like, without having to think too hard about it, like, I have not had the level of disinterest and just sort of just like, why did they write this? Like, even from that perspective, it wasn't even that it wasn't delivered well. That it was bad throughout for many reasons. The story didn't go anywhere. There was no actual personal journey for Mokey. It was just her kind of wandering around while that guy asked her riddles. Her going back to her friends when she did prove she could be a minstrel at the end, like, I guess made sense, but didn't feel good. The episode had major pacing issues. The music wasn't that good for it being an episode about minstrels.
That's a good point.
This episode just fell flat for me in every surface. We didn't get Marjorie at all. We didn't get Gorgs at all. If anything, I'm sad. I feel like we've had very little Gorgs recently.
True.
Very few Gorgs, and I'm getting sick of it.
Maybe it's like with Star Trek where there'll be like a heavy Klingon season, and then one other seasons they kind of take a backseat. This is like the Gorgs taking a backseat this season, and then other seasons they'll come back. I don't know, and also I feel like with you talking about this that it was a Jim Henson like forward episode because he must have been more involved since he's like the lead character of this episode.
Yeah,
so maybe he just wanted to be like hippie and freewheeling, and we're just looking at music, and then there was no conflict or story we really cared about. So yeah,
there was no conflict. There was no antagonist.
Yeah, no danger, nothing.
Right. She didn't save her friend. She didn't, like. So yeah, this episode I think just is easily bottom 3. Like I can tell you right at this moment, unless something later in the season really blows it out of the water, this is it. I
was fighting sleep during this episode, and I thought it was just because I was tired, but maybe it's because it was boring.
No, this was not. This was a bad Fraggle episode.
That's fair.
I've never felt this way about a Fraggle episode before.
But Steve, on that note, tell us what the silly creatures were up to.
There was no Uncle Traveling Matt's postcard. They hand it off and they don't pay it off. That's another reason this episode is trash. If Mokey had gotten some key thing at a key moment that gave her new perspective on becoming a minstrel or following her dreams or whatever, like maybe that would have paid it off and been the catalyst that it actually needed for her to have a moment of self-realization. But it was just trash.
They should have had her reading the card and be like, that made her miss her friends more or something. Like, and she would have gone back home because of the card, or I don't know, anything. Yeah, that's weird.
But yeah, so the silly creatures, no silly creature stuff. What a bummer.
Indeed. But best Muppeteering moment, you got to have one of those.
Nope, not awarding it. I wrote it out. You can see it on the page. Not awarding it. Not one standout moment in the entire episode.
Damn. I had a moment. I did enjoy the little doozer car that was on the tracks that went back and forth. It like drove away from Mokey because they hated her singing, and then just stopped when they're like, "Oh, we can stop here because this is good music." And I was like, "That's cute. I love doozers," and that's kind of saved that Muppetry moment.
All right, never mind. I give it to them too.
Okay, good.
None of the rest of the episode, just those doozers.
It's not the doozers' fault.
Okay. Doozer lore.
Yeah.
Okay, what if they're like the Borg, kind of, but they can opt to hop in and out of the hive mind?
I like that. That makes them even better.
So
than
when
the
they're
Borg.
working, they hop in and they're all in tune and they're all saying the same things and doing the same work. And then they get to take their helmet off and go home. Maybe that's what the helmet is.
Yes, it links them to the hive mind.
The helmet links them to the hive mind. Oh my God, we have theories.
Perfect. We solved it.
Oh boy. Doozer lore. What do doozers do? So Jordan, what happened this week's episode of Star Trek The Next Generation?
All right, we have the survivors. The Enterprise answered a distress call from the Federation colony on Rana 4, or Rana 4, and it finds it's completely destroyed and flattened, basically. The entire surface destroyed by some kind of war or something, except for one patch of land with a pristine house and an old couple living there called Kevin and Rashawn Uxbridge. They say they hid in the cellar somehow and survived what wiped out everybody else in the entire planet. So the landing party with Riker, Data, I think Worf, and somebody else, oh, and also Geordi, finds it strange, and they ask the couple to come back to the ship with them. But Kevin and Rashawn refuse, saying that they'll be fine there on their own. And Riker says, "We can't force you to come, so we'll just leave you be, I guess." But back in the ship, Deanna Troi starts to constantly hear a song in her head that won't stop, and it ramps up, eventually causing her genuine pain. And Dr. Crusher can't even block it, forcing Troi to eventually isolate herself, and they put her into a coma just to help her out. But it happens to be the same song that Data heard from a music box in the old couple's house. And suddenly, up in space, a massive alien warship shows up and attacks the Enterprise. And they trade shots, but it seems like the big alien ship is just toying with them, using really low wattage, just kind of like warn them off. And it leads them away from Rana 4. But Picard finally, shoots at them for real, and they fly off, and he takes after them. But then they're like, wait, let's go back. This is weird. So they fly back. Picard wants to talk to the couple himself. So he beams down, and he has a nice cup of tea with them. And Kevin Uxbridge tells Picard that when the aliens attacked the planet, he didn't fight back because he's a pacifist. And his wife, Rashawn, wanted to fight, but she stayed back home with her husband. Picard brought them a replicator as well as a peace offering and offered for them to come again to the ship with him. But again, they refuse. And Picard finds it all very strange. So now they return to the ship again, and the alien vessel shows up again. But this time it has more firepower, and it takes out their shields and their weapon systems. So the Enterprise flees, but Picard has a plan, and he waits a few hours to go back to the planet. And he goes back to the couple again. He now tells them that if they don't come with him now, he'll wait in orbit as long as they're both alive. So they get back into orbit, and suddenly the alien vessel arrives again, and Picard does nothing. And it just seemingly destroys the old couple's house from space. And then the Enterprise shoots off one photon torpedo and destroys the entire alien vessel somehow, even though before it was impenetrable. So Picard waits a few hours, and then magically the old couple's house reappears again, undamaged. So Picard then beams the couple back on board to the bridge without their permission, and finally gets the truth from Kevin. And Kevin isn't human, he's a Daud, an immortal, immensely powerful being who chose a quiet life among humans on Earth, but he fell in love with Rashawn. And they moved to Rana 4 to have a nice peaceful retirement when this alien species called the Husnock, who I said at the beginning of the episode, attacked the colony and killed Rashawn. And Kevin then broke his pacifist vows in a moment of grief and rage, and he annihilated the entire Husnock species across the entire universe, some 50 billion lives everywhere. And afterward, he created a perfect copy of Rashawn in their home and used illusions, including that one he put in Troy's mind to keep up people away and from knowing his true identity. So once he tells Picard all this, Picard just says there's no Starfleet regulation that covers genocide because of grief, basically. So Picard decides to return Kevin to his recreated home and leaves him to live with the consequences of what he's done. And that ends our episode, The Survivors, a pretty bleak, serious episode here. So, Steve, what do you think of this one?
Okay, so things I liked. good immediate like mystery premise.
Mm-hmm.
Like wasteland planet. Why is there a house? You know, that's just good. That's a gripping intro.
Yeah.
In an R.L. Stein book.
Twilight Zone.
Troy being plagued by the children's song. It was interesting to make it something so mundane because we've never really seen her debilitated like this before. So to make it something so mundane, but clearly illustrate to the audience that it was something more powerful than she'd ever experienced, was like a fun juxtaposition. And I think a good story device. Worf, I loved Worf being cordial. Good tea, nice house.
Yes, that was wonderful.
Great, crazy your reveal that Kevin wiped out a species. Like, that's crazy. And the line that you mentioned, like what Picard said, but the line was, "We are not qualified to be your judges, and we have no law to fit your crime."
Yes, epic. Just a great line.
So great, man. What a line. Things I struggled with a little bit. The actions of the enemy vessel. Like, I understand it was supposed to be confusing. Like, I get that that's what we were supposed to be, but it didn't communicate confusing in a good way for me. There was a weird point where Picard started like keeping secrets from the rest of the crew. Like, move to high orbit. We'll watch for anything, everything. Why? No. And he like won't tell him. Like, why are you not like? Why are you being cagey with your own people? You're not doing it. You're being cagey because the writer was like, and that way the audience won't know. A Daoud. I said, what the fuck are these things?
We're shapeshifters.
Husnock. And I said, what the fuck are these now? And then I realized after asking that question, well, I don't have to worry about that anymore because they're all gone.
I was literally about to look up on Memory Alpha, what are Husnocks? And then this next line out of his mouth is, I killed all of them. Okay, that makes sense.
So, like, so a Dowd is like a Q, kind of? Like, if we're talking about that level of power.
I think a Q would still be more powerful than it because it still lives in linear time. But it's like spatially, it has like a power stone, but not a space and time stone kind of deal. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Got it. No, okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Doesn't have the full Infinity Gauntlet yet.
True.
But yeah, I think this, as soon as I saw the episode title, I'm like, oh yeah, this is one of the old people. There's something weird about them. I couldn't remember what the weird thing was.
Oh boy, did they tell you.
That Anne Haney actress who played Gershon or whatever her name was, she's been in tons of stuff in the 80s and 90s. Oh, man.
Yeah, true.
Mrs. Doubtfire, Liar, Liar, all that stuff. She was great. I like this because it shows the all-powerful alien entity like we've seen multiple times before in a Star Trek episode, but it's different because he was a pacifist. He had guilt committing genocide, which is a much darker, complicated subject. It's not just like, once again, an all-powerful entity testing Starfleet or testing humanity. It was something very different. And also, I thought there were really good character moments for everybody. They did well with the ensemble, like giving everybody at least something to do, even if it was small, giving them a moment on screen in the way that they would be on screen, like Data looking at the little, music box and everything. And Geordi had some time to scan the structure, and Worf moments were funny. And even Wesley at the beginning, finding the life forms for the first time. And Troy and Beverly Crusher, everybody had a moment, which is kind of hard to do with a big ensemble cast like this. So I thought that was really well rounded. But yeah, you mentioned my favorite lines already. Good tea, nice house. Wonderful.
That was great.
That we are not qualified to be your judges. That was a great line too. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is pretty up there for me for this season so far anyway.
Yeah, I mean, for the season, I could definitely say this is up.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Just well written. It was very tightly, smartly written episode. It was cerebral, not like just things blowing up the whole time. Yeah, so we'll remember that one. Trek facts, John Anderson, who played Kevin, his wife had recently died when he worked on this episode. He almost didn't take the role. He later described this role in this episode as one of the hardest he's ever had to play. And so it felt very real because that had just happened to him. He also had a small role as like the gas station attendant in the movie Psycho from 1960, which is cool. The Phantom ship is said to have been hiding at a Lagrange point behind one of the moons This is a location where an object can be held in a balance with the influence of the gravity of a planet, star, or other large mass. And because of the balance of opposing forces, the object can stay in that point indefinitely without expending any power to maintain its position. And for a real-world example, this is how the James Webb Telescope is now positioned, where it can just stay in that point forever and not be moved, which is pretty cool. The Uxbridge household is a real home in Malibu, California, built in 1981, and it was designed by the architect Ellis Gelman for his own use. He just built it for himself. Kevin Uxbridge said he killed 50 billion members of the Husnock race, setting a record for the most beings killed by a TV character ever. And that might be beaten by somebody in Doctor Who. It has to be, because Doctor Who talks about these mass extinctions and killings and genocides all the time. So I don't know. This is the first episode that Deanna Troi wears her new turquoise uniform, which she would continue to wear on a rotating basis with her maroon and dark gray unitard until the season 6 episode, Chain of Command, Part 1, where she gets rid of the unitard altogether, I believe. But yeah, some costuming facts for you folks.
Bam.
But Steve, what are our Trek connections this time around?
Oh boy. Well, Rashawn Uxbridge, played by actress Anne Haney, as you mentioned, longtime working actress from things you mentioned in the 90s, Mrs. Doubtfire being one of them. She was also in Liar Liar. Well, in Mrs. Doubtfire, she was in that with Robin Williams. And he was once announced in the Muppet Fan Club newsletter as a special guest for season 4 of The Muppet Show, but it didn't end up happening for reasons unknown. But he was announced as a special guest. Also in Mrs. Doubtfire was Sally Field, who in 2019 was recognized at the Kennedy Center Honors in New York City. And that was the same year that Sesame Street became the first television show recognized by the Kennedy Center Honors.
Nice.
And there are pictures of her with Sesame Street characters, and it's real cute.
Now I believe Kid Rock is going to be honored at the next Kennedy Center Honors.
Yes. Yeah. Kevin Uxbridge, played by actor John Anderson. He was played a judge in the movie 8 Men Out, about the famous baseball team that threw the World Series. It starred John Cusack, whose sister is, of course, Joan Cusack, who played Mrs. Bitterman in It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie. She played the villain.
What a tenuous connection. I love it.
So close.
Just like these 2 episodes. They're so close.
They're so sames.
Both have our characters dealing with grief. Kevin's dealing with the grief of losing his wife and ending so many lives. And all of Mokey's friends are grieving that she's leaving. It's so sad.
I like that.
Yeah.
Both feature female characters listening for a song no one else can hear. Troy and the music box in her head invading her mind, and Mokey listening for the cave song.
That's very true. That's very true. Both have a wise character getting the real truth out of someone. Picard finally getting the real story out of Kevin. And Candace making Mokey realize the truth that she isn't really a minstrel, but just wants to go home to her friends, you know? Yeah.
Both feature magical-like creatures showing up temporarily and then abruptly leaving. Candace within the magic-wielding Fraggle. We've seen that he has actual magic.
Yes.
And Kevin just coming and going.
Angry, sad Kevin.
At will.
That's true. Oh, no. What's the noise?
Transporter malfunction. Transporter malfunction.
Oh, that sound means it's now time for us to take one character from one episode and transport them to the other and vice versa. So what you got for us, Steve?
Trek to Rock this week. I'm going to bring over Worf. Worf. I said that weird. Worf.
He's not the sea Worf.
Worf. That's not even. No, that's a wharf, but I'm talking about a wharf. Bring over Worf to replace Mokey. I think it'd be really funny to watch him go on a mission of self-discovery and trying to hear music and listen to riddles from Kansas Fraggle.
I do not hear the music. It is not in Klingon. I do not care.
I do not care for this.
These sounds are too soft for my ears. From Trek to Rock, I'd bring over Rashawn to replace Candace. So hear me out. Her and
Okay,
Mokey,
now I'm here.
are so alike. Her and Mokey are like very similar in their vibes, you know? So I think Mokey would immediately be able to join the Minstrels. They'd make tea together. They'd plant a garden. They'd be singing songs and dancing. It'd be just a really also fluff episode with no plot. Yeah.
Yeah. Rock to Track, I'm going to bring over Cantus to replace Kevin. His whole band having been killed in the attack. He keeps them alive in these hologram forms. And he killed every Gorg to avenge them.
Which is funny because it only equals out to 3 Gorg. That's it.
There's only 3 left in the whole world.
And he killed all of them.
Though once again, we've established they are worried about someone invading their land. So there's some threat out there that they think could invade.
It's Kevin the whole time.
Yeah, just Kevin. All Kevins. Kevins and Qs.
Rock to Trek, I bring Doc over to replace Kevin. Because maybe that's Doc's story all along, is that he sits alone in his workshop to get over his grief of losing his wife who died. And now he can be an all-powerful being in the process and just tinker with the universe forever. Like, that's going to be...
Nah, man, you just said Sprocket. Sprocket in this scenario died. Like, that's what you just described.
Sprocket's imaginary.
He's unwilling to give it up. Yeah, Sprocket's entirely imaginary.
Oh, man, that's perfect.
Which was our theory last week, too, for totally different reasons.
I think it keeps coming back. It's got to be true.
Maybe. But that's when the question came up of if all of Fraggle Rock is just in Doc's mind.
This riddled mind of craziness.
That's a bigger premise.
He's actually in a cell this whole time, just in a straitjacket.
Plus, why would there be Gorgs in there?
Don't question it.
That's right.
But that brings us to the end of episode 154 of the MuppeTrek Podcast.
Join us next time for Fraggle Rock episode, All Work and All Play.
And Star Trek The Next Generation episode, Who Watches the Watchers?
So from the lovers, the dreamers, and us.
Live long and prosper, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the MuppeTrek Podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media on Facebook and Twitter.
Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
This podcast has been brought to you by A Play on Nerds.